Welcome back to the workshop. Today I'm going to be painting my 1983 Honda Superdream motorbike tank. Now, for those of you who have been following my channel will know that I've already done this before when I originally restored my motorbike, but I did that with rattle cans and it did turn out really well, but this time I'm going to learn how to do it properly with a spray gun. So this is the original tank that I painted with spray cans, and I am really happy with how it turned out considering it was my first time ever doing it. But this time I want to learn how to do exactly the same tank but with a spray gun. So it's going to be really interesting to compare the different results. Now I need to prepare the inside of the tank to protect it from rusting, starting with removing all the loose sediment from the inside. What makes it difficult is there's a lip on the inside where the filler cap goes, which makes it quite difficult to get anything out again. You could do this in a much easier way with an air gun, but I'm quite enjoying the workout, so I'm going to stand here and look like a plum. To be fair, I did try it and it kind of just blows it around on the inside. To actually get it to come out the opening is really difficult, so I feel like this is the easiest way. Get out! So now that I have shaken the tank and removed all of the loose corrosion from the inside, I've blocked off the bottom of it and I'm going to go ahead and fill it up with water. Right, I'm going to give the tank another good swirl, and this is literally just to try and rinse the worst of it out. And then we're going to go ahead afterwards and use some of the converter, which you mix 1 part to 10 essentially. So now that I have removed all the loose sediment from inside the tank, I've washed it out, I'm now going to go ahead and pour some of this rust converter inside it. This rust converter is parts 1 to 10, so you need 1 litre of rust converter per 10 litres of water. And it also says that the water needs to be between 60 or 70 degrees Celsius for it to work well. So I'm going to use this laser temperature gauge just to test and see how hot the water is, and it's actually perfect. It's 65 degrees Celsius, so it's right bang in the middle of where it needs to be. Perfect. So in the instructions it also says you don't want to under concentrate it, so I am just going to go for the whole litre. In it goes. Ooh. So I've now left the tank derusting concentrate inside the tank for 24 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse it out with water before pouring in some of this tank protection emulsion, which I'll just swirl around inside the tank to prevent the rust from getting worse, basically. Today we're at Refinishing Perfection and Trevor here is going to help me paint my motorbike tank.
So what we've done, the tank was bare metal, so we've epoxy primed that, then repaired all the dents and imperfections in the tank. Then we've put this hybrid epoxy primer on as well, and today we're then going to prep this and start the painting process.
And this is Winnie. Okay. Right, Winnie, say hi. So, what's the first step?
We're going to 320 grit block the tank, so then that'll get any imperfections out of it, high spots, low spots, things like that. Then we'll get the DA and 500 grit DA that to get the 320 marks out.
Yeah.
Then that's good for paint. If there's any areas that need it, we'll put a silicone epoxy over it.
Okay.
Then we get on to the painting. So we'll do the silver base coat first for the red candy. Then put the red candy on. Then we'll mask out for the decals and the stripes.
Yeah.
And do the colours for those. And then once that's all taken off or demasked, we'll then lacquer the whole thing.
Amazing. Yeah, and I'm really excited to see how this comes out in comparison to how I did the other one with the rattle cans.
Yeah, we've got a high bar to go for that because you did very good with those rattle cans. I'm very impressed with how the candy was on that. So yeah, it'll certainly be certainly different.
Yeah, and this is the first time that I've ever used a spray gun, so it's going to be a new experience for me. But yeah, so let's get going. Okay.
You should do that and then you'll later.
You're just trying to edge closer so she can get a shot. Okay, you done? Anyway, bless her. So before doing the real deal, I did some spray out tests to get a feel for how the spray gun works, but also to have a look at the different sort of thicknesses of the paint. And we had a bit of a chat to discuss how the sort of distance we felt I should paint from and how many layers we'll need to do to match the tank as closely as possible. To begin with, I sprayed on the medium metallic silver coat, and this laid on really nicely. By this point, obviously, I'd already done a bit of the primer, so I feel like I was starting to get more and more comfortable with using the spray gun. And then we moved on to spray on the clear ruby red metallic coat. And obviously, as Trevor said, to do a candy coat is quite difficult because obviously if you overlap it by accident or if it starts to run, it's really obvious. So to get it looking good, it can be quite challenging. But he gave me some really good tips and guidance along the way. And the most important one, I think, was to sort of keep your distance consistent, not to go too close, and to just kind of keep an eye on how the paint is laying as you go along. So if it starts to look a bit too thick, you can back off a little bit or start to speed up. But equally, if it's looking a bit dry, you can slow down or get a little bit closer. So you really sort of have to be on the ball and be sort of watching how the paint lays down as you go along. So it's something that you very much cannot rush, if that makes sense. Finally, I sprayed on the clear coat, and this was left to fully dry before I came back to the workshop the following day to begin the next steps. So the first thing I did was use 1200 grit wet and dry paper to smooth down the tank, get rid of any orange peel. And there were a few fisheyes, but this wasn't an issue as we are going to spray another layer of clear coat over it, and so they'll basically be filled in when we do that. Once this was done, I could map out where I wanted the logo to go. So we used obviously the original tank that I had painted before as a reference. It was very handy to have that. And yeah, just basically measured everything out. To create these stencils, I actually vectorized the Honda logo on Adobe Illustrator and sent the file to a company that creates these stickers for stencils. So yeah, that was really nifty, as it meant that we could actually paint on the logo as opposed to using stickers. And once this was done, I then created the curves on the corners because all the corners were slightly rounded. And I just did this using thinner tape. And then once we had done that, I basically sprayed the different layers separately. So obviously started with the Honda logo. I then moved on to do the coral and the black stripe in the middle, and then finally the gold. So this is basically the finished product. I still have to cut and polish, but yeah, I'll do this at a later date. And it's so satisfying to know that all of the logo and all the stripes are actually painted on. It's not just stickers. And believe it or not, I think I'm actually going to be selling this motorbike now, as I now have 2 motorbikes and this one isn't really being used as much. So if anyone's interested, please do let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back here in the workshop for another episode.